Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome into the video. So in this one, we're going to talk about what to expect next from the stock market and also talk about the next potential leading sector. Also going over a bunch of trade ideas after that, and as always, there are timestamps in the description. Let's go ahead and get into it. So starting out by taking a look at the S&P futures chart. Last week, we talked about that 45.37 to 45.40 key support zone, and if the S&P was to break below there, that would start the pullback for the market, but as long as it held above there, upside can continue. What played out last week was a lot of consolidation and basing, though that support zone continued to hold and ultimately resulted in a break higher on Friday. So zooming out on the chart, the key long-term resistance zone at 45.80 to 46.32 is currently being tested and is an important decision point for the market. This is the zone that resulted in the top back in July, and the S&P has not been above this since January of 2022. So this would be a valid area to at least start a healthy pullback off of, but like I've talked about, there's no reason to fight the trend until a key support is broken, which has not happened since October. So what are the key levels to watch into next week for the market direction? So 45.80 is the bottom of the key long-term zone and is well defined from last week as shown here. So into next week, as long as the S&P is above 45.80, upside can continue direct. So if it was to break back below 45.80, that would open downside back into last week's range, which could target 45.60, which has acted as the range and midpoint, and then 45.37 to 45.40 is below there, which would start real downside on a break below 45.37, likely towards those next levels below. If upside does continue, which of course we cannot rule out, breaking above the 45.80 to 46.32 zone would open upside towards the next key zone above at 47.12 to 47.40, and then all-time highs above there at 48.08. And I've been talking about this for a couple weeks now, but it is important to be ready for the market pullback when it does come. So based on historical price action, every time that a rally is this fast and this large, it is always resolved with at least a healthy pullback. Now that doesn't mean to short the market or anything, because trying to call the top is usually a losing game, but what it does mean is not to be surprised when it happens, and to have a watch list of stocks that will set up great for entries after a pullback to set up a next leg higher after that pullback, which I'll be going over a lot in this video. And just a very simple visual of an idea of what could play out for a potential short-term top to start that pullback is the S&P breaks above July highs and then drops back below and then starts that healthy pullback from there. The market loves to trap and fake out as many participants as possible, so something like this would certainly classify as that. And something very notable as well that started happening last week was that the Russell 2000 index, which tracks small caps, started showing relative strength versus the large caps. On Friday, the Russell had this clean breakout on heavy volume above the 200-day moving average and the 180 key resistance level. If this continues, this is a great sign for the overall market to diversify the rally, and I would watch for this to continue to show relative strength versus the S&P and versus the Nasdaq. 180 to 181.78 was the breakout trigger from Friday, and as long as that holds as new support on any back test, this is set up to move higher, and the next key resistance levels above were at 185 and then 189.5 to 190. And now taking a look at individual trade ideas, one small cap stock that continues to look great is AST Space Mobile, ticker symbol ASTS. So I talked about this one last weekend on the channel as it was flagging below the 4.85 key resistance and long-term trend line. Last week it broke out above this and is looking primed for a move higher as long as it holds above there, and the next target levels above would be at 5.55, 6, the 6.22 gap fill, and then 7 next above there. On running, ticker symbol ONON, is another setup to watch in the week ahead. So last week it broke out above the 200-day moving average and 29.2, which was the top of the 3-month long range. So as long as it continues to hold above that zone, this is set up for continuation higher, which can target 30.88 to 31.4, 34.1, and then 35.66 as those next target levels above. Rivian, ticker symbol RIVN, is another one that we went over last weekend as well that was on watch for a breakout out of this large falling wedge pattern, and it has played out great so far. So I'd be watching for upside to continue here, which can target the next levels above at 18.5, the key zone at 20 to 22, and then 24.4 next above there. Intel, ticker symbol INTC, is another potential explosive setup as it's trying to confirm back above the key long-term zone at 42 to 43.5. So this was the bottom of the range for over 4 years. It triggered the breakdown in 2022, and now if it's able to confirm back above there, this is a long-term false breakdown setup. It went on a huge recent run. It is now pretty overextended, so some backtesting or basing would be healthy to see first, and could play out something like this, which could set up a lot more upside to follow that. At highs, it also rejected right at the 200-week moving average, which is currently at 45.33, so this is a spot that could also be used as an upside / breakout pivot to play off of. And Celsius, ticker CELH, has been consolidating near this key support zone at 50 to 52.4 since the beginning of October, and last week it filled the gap down at 48.85 and then quickly reclaimed back within the zone. Call it more of a gut feeling, but I feel like this stock could rip soon. You could play tight risk on it with a stop loss back below that 50 level. As you can see, continued upside above 52.4, and the initial targets above would be at 55, 57.85, and then 60.5 above there. And going over two more of the strongest looking setups in the market. One is Draftkings, ticker symbol DKNG. It had that clean breakout and has consolidated for a couple weeks now just below the key 40 to 44 zone. Any pullback is viable on this as long as it's above 35, with 40 to 44 as that next big test above. And Samsara, ticker symbol IOT, is a setup that we've talked about a few times on the channel, and it finally broke out on Friday. So this is a clean cup and handle pattern breakout on large volume, and since it broke out to all-time highs, there is no supply above, which can make the move that much stronger. This could continue higher direct, or if it pulls back anywhere close to 31.41 to 32.5, that would be a strong entry area for that higher low, and then continuation higher for the breakout. So that is everything that I'm watching for in the week ahead. I want to see if the strength continues in small caps, and watching all of those individual stock setups very closely. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will catch you all next time. For anybody interested in joining the private Discord chat, that is the first link down in the description to get my personal trade alerts, nightly watch lists, and I answer any questions you have in there. Good luck trading this week. I will catch you guys next time, and peace out.